The modern game is now looking visually better than ever before. The modern game is now phasing out load times. The modern game allows players to gritty. But there are modern games with a specific outdated structure that hinders the overall gameplay experience. Let's roll the clock back to May 15th, 2006, baby. New Super Mario Bros. Just released on the DS in most regions, and man was it fun. It brought in mechanics from the three-dimensional games, such as triple jumping into the 2D space, and it worked brilliantly. The adventure involved unique power-ups never before seen in the space, and a lot of effort was put into the bosses of each world with a great variety. With all that being said, the game has a very simple structure. You choose a level, you have some fun, you get booted out. 7 years later, its younger HD brother, New Super Mario Bros. U released, and it's more of the same. You pick a level, you have some fun, you get booted out. In 2023, Super Mario Bros. Wonder comes out, and it's different. We have a new art style, Wonder Flowers exist, which completely changes up the gameplay, and they got rid of the new tagline. There is now more flexibility than ever before with the modern map design, but even with all of its advancements in mind, its DNA is familiar. You pick a level, you have some fun, you get booted out. At the end of the day, Wonder still has the same freaking setup as the game from 18 years ago, and it's really been going on for longer. For simplification purposes, we're going to consider this the boot out structure. Now let's change it up and compare this to the structuring of online multiplayer shooters. While the gameplay and tone are completely different to what we just discussed, there's actually a similar structure there that is subtle yet common. You ready up, you have some fun, you go back to the lobby. Just like the boot out platformers, you pick a level, you have some fun, you're back on the world map. Granted, the Battle Royale genre is a little bit better with it, because you ready up, you play, and for a good while, on a spacious map that's detailed and completely open for players to roam around in, until they either die or get a victory, and then are booted out into the lobby. With these genres, this common structuring is not a problem, but it is disengaging. Getting booted out of the gameplay makes it a lot easier to leave the game and stop playing. So from a developer's perspective, any built-in disconnections should be at an absolute minimum for the sake of player retention. When realizing how often my gameplay would start and stop, it was then difficult to unsee it. Then a noticeable chunk of my time playing the game was spent going in and out of sections. I'll be completely real, there are worse problems within video games than this, but the fixation some studios have on using this decades-old game structure is disappointing. Thankfully, there are games that strive to do more. Open-world games are excellent with their more alluring structure. When outside of missions, the gameplay doesn't stop and simplify into a world map like the installments of other genres do. Instead, you traverse that map, with tons of content mixed in, until arriving at the next mission. Depending on the game, there can be fun activities to pass the time that go with the current mood the player is feeling. There may be stores to check out that are full of cosmetics, or vendors who sell useful consumables. The world of the protagonist feels more realistic, it's more engaging, and it makes for a more immersive experience. Now, I understand why the boot-out structure exists, at least in certain games. With multiplayer experiences kicking players out of the gameplay and back into the lobby, there's a shining opportunity to check out the item shop and purchase cosmetics.
If you want to get even better, please head on over to our store.
But it is possible to implement that concept in smoother ways that are less disruptive to the gameplay flow, yet just as effective for item shop viewership. Within platforming, Mario's most recent 3D adventures showcase how gameplay can be reworked for less disruptions. With Super Mario Odyssey, the game is still divided into different levels, but these levels are all lived in and massive, with the moon currency giving the player the perfect reason to search every nook and cranny. Bowser's Fury takes this one step further. All the gameplay is divided only by water, not by loading screens or menus, so all it takes to go from one section to the other is a quick swim or a ride on Plessy. The games of the past are structured similarly to the 2D contributions to the franchise, but in the 3-dimensional space. It involves a hub world, then jumping in, having fun, and getting kicked out. It's subjective whether or not the modern 3D Mario experiences are more entertaining than the previous titles, but the modern structures do allow for better engagement. Certain roguelikes are structured in an exceptional way as well. After first choosing a character or game mode, the gameplay begins and does not stop. It will genuinely go from world to world or level to level without much delay. At most, there will be a loading screen, but nothing within the game's power structurally makes it very disengaging. It is because of its formula that roguelikes seem to be on the rise, with great contributions to the genre that stand out in the market. What may be up there as a contender for the most engaging type of game is those that begin with choosing a level or something of the sort, and having the player remain in their picked level for a notably extended amount of time. Sandbox games such as Minecraft are often like this. The gameplay is ongoing and really doesn't end unless, of course, you come across the small hiccup of dying. When running around, there are rarely loading screens once spawned in, so there's a reassurance to look around the beautiful world and explore. No pressures of running out of time, no pressure of being pulled out to a world map. This is freedom. Doing what I want to without many pressures. This is what playing a game should feel like. The boot-out structure of modern games lives unconsciously in the DNA of many popular titles. It's a structure that has worked well for decades, but after the great advancements made in other genres in the game space, these experiences tend to feel smaller in comparison. Series that originally began in the boot-out format that have since redesigned their formulas I find innovative, and is the way to go for better engagement in the long run. Regardless of how games develop in the coming years, I have great faith that creativity will thrive and new ideas will prevail. Until then, it is best to enjoy the games that bring you great pleasure, and support the companies that release good content. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you in the next one.